Hello and welcome to my channel Happy Hours. In the last video, I discussed about the fundamental rights to equality, right of equality before law and the equal protection of law. We have discussed about the article number 15 and its exceptions. Today I am going to proceed with article number 16 which provides that for the equality of opportunity in the public employment, its exceptions, and the article number 17 which abolishes untouchability, article number 18 abolishes title, article number 19 for the freedom. So let us proceed with article number 16 which is for the citizens only. Article number 16 clause 1 provides for equality of opportunity to the citizens in the public employment. Article number 16 clause B prohibits the state from discriminating among the citizens only on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, descent, place of birth or residence in the public employment. There are some exceptions, and these are Article number 16, Clause 3 holds that the Parliament may, by law, prescribe requirement of residence within the states or union territories for appointment to any office under the government of state or union territory or any local or other authority within the state. Article number 16, clause 4 holds that the state can make any provisions for the reservation of posts in the favor of any backward class of the citizens which, in the opinion of state, is not adequately presented in the services under the state. Article number 16, clause 4, subclause A holds that the provisions can be made for the reservation in the matter of promotion of any class or in classes of posts in the favor of scheduled castes and or scheduled tribes. Article number 16, clause 6 holds that the state can make any provisions for the reservation of the posts in the favor of any economically weaker section of the citizens other than the classes mentioned in the article clause 4 means they are going to talk about the general category. Such reservations should be in addition to the existing reservation and subject to a matter of 10% of the posts in each category. This was added by the 103rd Amendment Act. For the purposes of Article number 15 and 16, economically weaker sections shall be such as may be notified by the state from time to time on the basis of family income and other indicators of the economic disadvantages. Now we are going to discuss about the article number 17, which abolishes untouchability and declares it as an offence punishable under the law. Untouchability is neither defined in the Constitution nor in any act. The term is not to be understood in a literal or grammatical sense, but it is to be understood as a practice as it was developed historically in India. Understood in this sense, untouchability is the product of Hindu caste system according to which particular section among the Hindus have been looked down as untouchables by other sections of the society. Article 18 abolishes titles, prohibits the state from conferring titles on the individuals. Only military or academic distinctions are allowed. In a note, we can understand the national awards were introduced in the year 1954. They were discontinued by the Janata Party government in 1978. These awards were again revived in the year 1980. In the Balaji Raghavan case, the Supreme Court held that the national awards are not the titles, but these are awards which are given to an individual for rendering service to the society or to the state. The article number 18, subclause 3, holds that a foreigner holding any office of profit or trust under the state, that is, in the India, not to accept any title from any foreign state without the consent of the President. Now we are going to proceed further with the right to freedom. Article number 19, available only to citizen. Article number 19, clause 1, contains 6 democratic freedoms. The very first is Article number 19, clause 1, subclause A. It talks about the freedom of speech and expression. It means the right to express one's view freely and openly. Now we are going to discuss about the scope of Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause A. It is the freedom of press, right to criticize and answer to one's criticism, right to know and to obtain information, right of convict to express himself or herself, right to access to internet, right to write a book, right to advertise, right of a voter to know the antecedents of the candidate, including their criminal antecedents, right to hoist the national flag in private buildings throughout the year, right to silence. The hate speeches do not come under the scope of Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause A. Now we should understand the grounds of reasonable restrictions on Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause E. In the interest of sovereignty, integrity, and security of our country, to maintain friendly relations with the foreign countries, defamation, contempt of court, incitement of an offense, to maintain public order, decency, and morality. We are going to discuss about Article 19, Clause 1, Subclause B, which is the right to assemble for a peaceful purpose without arms. The state can impose reasonable restrictions on this right in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India or public order. Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause C, rights to association or unions or cooperative societies. It was added by the 97th Amendment Act 2011. The right to form trade union emanates from this right. The state can impose reasonable restrictions on the right in the interest of sovereignty or integrity of India or public order or morality. The state can put restrictions on trade unionism in the armed forces, paramilitary forces, police, and intelligence services. Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause D, right to move freely throughout the territory of India, and Article number 19, Subclause E, right to reside and settle down in any part of the territory of India. In a note, we can understand Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause D, and Subclause E are natural corollaries to each other, and the state can make any law imposing reasonable restrictions on the exercise of any of these rights either in the interest of general public or in the interest of any scheduled tribe. Now, for example, in some of the states in the scheduled tribe area, there has been put restrictions on residence and settling down of non-scheduled tribes. The government has also regulated the tourist movement in some of the islands of Andaman and Nicobar. There is a required permit to visit Nagaland and Manipur. An inner line permit is also required to visit the border areas of Ladakh, like Bengal Lake and Nubra Lake Valley, etc. During the outbreak of pandemic COVID-19, the movement of persons were restricted in the interest of general public, that is, to contain the spread of pandemic. We are proceeding further with the Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause G, which is the right of occupation, trade, business, or profession. The state can link reasonable restriction on this right in the interest of general public. It can also make any law related to the professional or technical qualification necessary for the practice of any profession or carrying on any occupation, trade, or business. The state can also regulate any trade, business, industry, or service either partially or completely. The original Article number 19, Clause 1 had 7 democratic freedom. Article number 19, Clause 1, Subclause F, that is the right to property, was replaced was repealed by the Article 44th Amendment Act 1978. At the present, right to property is the legal right under Article number 300A, which holds that no person to be deprived of his property except by law. We are proceeding further with the Article number 20, which is a protection in respect of conviction for offence. three protections have been given to a person in respect of conviction for the offences, and these are: the state shall not enact ex post facto criminal legislation, which means making a law and giving it a retrospective effect. The criminal laws are not to be given a retrospective effect but are to be given a prospective effect. Means no person shall be convicted of any offence except for violation of law in force at the time of commission of the act charged as an offence, nor be subjected to a penalty greater than that which might have been inflicted under the law in force at the time of commission of the offence. The second one, the state shall not practice double jeopardy, which means it is punishing an individual twice for the same crime. And the third and the last one, the state shall not compel any individual to provide self incriminating evidence, that is, a person accused of any offense not to be compelled to give evidence against himself or be a witness against himself. Means forcing a person to give statement against himself and using it as an evidence in the court. It is not admissible in the court. Statement given before the court is admissible. The police has no power to punish. Narco-analysis, brain mapping are against the article number 21 and article number 20 subclause clause 3. State is given in full statement is given in the full consciousness, not be accepted by the court of law by Supreme Court. Now we are going to discuss about the article number 21. No one to be deprived of his right to life and personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law. It provides us two rights. First, the right to life, and the second, the right to personal liberty. Article number 21 on face appears to be a very colorless article, but this article has been receiving the widest interpretation by the Supreme Court, and it has led to the evolution of a large number of inferred rights. Are those rights which have not been mentioned in the Constitution or any document but have been declared as a part of rights because of liberal interpretation by the court. Now, what are those inferred rights which are considered as the part of article number 21? Some of these inferred rights are: right to dignified life, right to reputation, right to shelter, right of a couple to adopt child, right to health and timely medical aid. It is in the case of medical legal cases. Right to own a livelihood, right to adequate wages, right to speedy trial, right to die with dignity, right to privacy, right to go abroad, right against torture and cruel punishment, right against solitary confinement, right to choice of sex, right against handcuffing and putting a person in chains, right to live in a clean environment, right to sleep at night, right to get a bail. Now there are some are described here and some more are there. Now there is a procedure established by the law. Under it, the court takes into consideration the following aspects. First, whether there is a law related to the case or not. Second, whether the law has been enacted by a competent authority or not. In India, the parliament and the state legislature are competent authorities to enact civil and criminal law. 3. Whether the law has been enacted by following the correct procedure or not. Now there is another concept which is known as due process law. It is there in the US Constitution. The Supreme Court in the Maneka Gandhi case 1978 held that while interpreting article number 21, the court can also follow the due process of law. Under it, the court, while taking into consideration all the aspects of procedure established by the law may also take into consideration the aspect that whether the law is just, fair, reasonable or not. By this, I am concluding my video. Thank you.